Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios. For these issues, we're going to be looking at two issues. We're going to be looking at Amazing Spider-Man 318 and 319. They're really a two-part story, and I decided I just want to try and get this last of Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man kind of done, uh, so I can move on to other things here. So this is my childhood, people. X-Men and Amazing Spider-Man with Todd McFarlane. Those are my sweet spots here. So here we are with this amazing cover here, and the Scorpion is going to be our antagonist for both issues here. Man, oh my goodness, I have nothing but amazing memories of these issues. I was in high school when this stuff came out here. All right, here we go. So we start out with the Scorpion, who has received a new tail courtesy of, let's get our title here, Sting, your partner. And you can see instead of swing, it has been X'd out. Our credits are David Michelinie, I have no idea, is the writer. Todd McFarlane is the artist. Jim Salicrup and Tom DeFalco are in the editorial. Um, great, um, great action. Splash page here. He's getting rid of a couple of mannequins. McFarlane sticking dashes just about everywhere, and I love the mask. He just basically does a face with the way the Scorpion is. It's I don't know if in reality he would just use face paint on his bottom part or whatever, but it's I've always loved it here. So yeah. So he's taking care of these mannequins here, kind of like seeing how his new tail is working out here. So, and he is of course using this thing with acid here and melting this face here. So the Scorpion is quite happy with this here. And so we're going to see that it is Justin Hammer who has given him this new tail here. And he wants to get rid of Jonah Jameson here. You can see here that he wants to get even with him. And he just cannot wait. And so Justin Hammer, who is just on a robe here, is like, "You're not placing some personal vendetta ahead of our bargain, are you?" And so Scorpion says, "You financed my new weaponry, Hammer. I'm not forgetting. I promised to kidnap General Musgrave in return. Don't worry, you'll get your ransom." And Justin Hammer, you can see he presses this button here. "Mr. Gargan, please. Justin Hammer is not a criminal. I'm a businessman, and sometimes crime is merely the most effective way of conducting commerce." So, um, hey, business is business, right? So, Justin Hammer is one of Iron Man's enemies now, and which is why Michelinie, as he was writing Iron Man with Bob Layton, he had returned to Iron Man during this time. Now, this eyes here, this looks. I love McFarlane. I love a lot of what he does, but I don't know, these eyes. They look droopy. I don't know. Um, so just goes to show you. But this is where McFarlane earns his money. These are the things that made him into what he is now. So anyway, Scorpion agrees and he says, "Okay, so you're not a criminal and I am, but I'm still a man of my word. You'll get Musgrave." So he leaves here, and the guy goes, "Do you think Scorpion will work out, sir?" And he says, "I don't know, Philip. Oopsie. My normal modus operandi is providing the financial and material backing to costume criminals in exchange for half of their eventual profits. But Matt Gargan appears to be even more unstable than most of his ilk. This is just pretty cool. I love how McFarlane does these vertical panels. That's why I offered him this trial commission before committing him to long term. When he's successful, if he's successful, then we'll talk contract. And these dashes here and McFarlane with the smoke here, it's just very cool. For those of you who were not around during this time, watching Todd McFarlane just become a superstar, um, it's pretty sad that um, and selfishly, it's pretty sad that he has decided, nah, toys is all I want to do, and and I'm not even counting Spawn because he doesn't even draw Spawn. So it's really sad. I really wish he would go back to drawing just something, man. But it is what it is. Capitalism, right? You got to take the good with the bad. So I have a playlist. Feel free to check it out here. I have a Todd McFarlane playlist and a Spider-Man playlist. So this issue will be in both. So if you remember here on issue 200, no, 314, Spider-Man and Mary Jane were evicted from their apartments, and so they're looking for a new one. And he's like, "Hey, for only 2,000 a month, it's a steal." And this guy and Peter's like, "Yeesh, who's stealing from whom?" So, um, and this guy, they're like, "Oh, we'll get back to you." And he's like, "It won't last long." And it's like, "Yeah, it's probably collapse any second," says Mary Jane. And so they talk a little bit, saying, "Hey, I know we're the Bedford Towers, and it's not good enough, but they can't stay at May's house." And again, McFarlane with vertical panels, him and Frank Miller, the masters of vertical panel. Peter says, "I know, Mary Jane, but look at the bright side. At least no one's planning to make Leonard Part 7." And he laughs. There was a movie called Leonard Part 6 during this time, which bombed. And yeah. And so she's going to go to work over to. Um, she's a model during this time. And so he says, "We'll see you later." And so Peter is like, "Well, I better get my working clothes on." And of course, look at this. This is just an amazing. This is the things that helped make McFarlane into such a superstar here. Let me see if I can make this a little smaller here so we have the entire. Look at that. That is just so freaking cool. Oh my goodness gracious. Love it. Goodness gracious. It is, as I mentioned, it is one thing for people now to just sort of expect the art and whatever, but in the 80s, in the late 80s, there was a big transformation from the house style to these things. Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane became the new house style at Marvel instead of things like John Romita. They wanted their artists to draw like Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane. So he's trying to take pictures for the Daily Bugle, but he just doesn't find anything worth selling. So, and he's like, J. Jonah Jameson only buys Spidey photos from Nick Katzenberg. And that is something's happening in like the other Spider-Man titles, but I was only reading Amazing Spider-Man during this time. So Peter's kind of having a hard time at the Daily Bugle. And so he's kind of complaining because things aren't going working out very well. One of the things about Todd McFarlane is the feathering, and look how much feathering he does here. It's so cool. That really changed the style because he really committed to this feathering bit, just dash 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 everywhere. And so um she's his secretary here, and he's like, hey, there's maybe some other works. Here comes Jonah, why don't you ask him? And so he's like, hey, Jonah, I was looking for work. And he's like, nothing now, Parker. Check back to me like maybe a week from October. And then he slams the door really hard. Now, when he's saying a week from October, this is probably like summer. So basically, he's telling him there's nothing. And then he slams the door really hard. Again, so during this time, I believe he is still the um the chameleon here, and that's a story happening like in Spectacular Spider-Man. That's why I don't know, there's some kind of anti-Spider-Man worse than before. And so it's revealed that J. Jonah Jameson is actually the chameleon here, and we can see that here. So it says here, see Web of Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man. But again, I wasn't following those titles, so but it was nice to see things kind of go here and there. And so Mary Jane, you can see here, Night's falling here. Mary Jane, um, somebody canceling. They're gonna go with Topaz, and so she's not getting work, and so she goes out and goes to the club here. And again, look at these vertical panels here. So freaking amazing. And again, with the feathering here, this was peak McFarlane. And so they get home here, and this is in Queens at May's house. And she's stripping, but don't show anything because, hey, comics code. And she's like, yeah, I didn't get my job, so I went out here. And she tells Peter, hey, you should go out more often. He's like, I'd like to, but one of us has to work for a living. And then of course they start arguing, and she's like, hey, I do want to work, but there's nothing out there. This part shouldn't have been colored right here, but they probably miss. Oh no, that is her hair. I I could be. I don't know. But anyway. And so then they're like, hey, life's hard enough. Let's not let it tear us apart. A little bit of drama here. All right. And so this is Harry Osborn, and he is going to become the Green Goblin again, but not he's not evil. He's just mentally unstable. And I think the story with him continues elsewhere because I don't remember when Eric Larson takes over. Michelinie doing a Green Goblin story. I just don't remember, but I do believe that this continues in the other Spider-Man titles. So here is Peter going to the university here, and these are people protesting because Musgrave is a general, and so these are all anti-war people here. Again, kind of the eyes very close together. But and so uh here comes the general, and then here comes the Scorpion, and I love this Peter and the Scorpion, Peter, the Scorpion. So that is really cool. They're both changing. That is awesome. Again, very cool. And so he's like, hey, he says, this is a hypnogen. I'm injecting you. It will wear off. Whatever you do, um, you'll do whatever I tell you. So anyway, he goes through, and so he tells him where Musgrave is. Thanks, and then he's like, forget you ever saw me, and go back to being a watchdog. So now he's like, ruff, 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 ruff. So all right, so here comes Spider-Man taking his pictures, and apparently nobody's looking at that. But hey, it's the 80s. They didn't have the high def cameras from back then. This is such a cool picture here. Here comes the Scorpion, and he's like, I'm after Musgrave. Nobody gets hurt. The guy shoots at him. It doesn't work. Here comes Spider-Man. I'm kind of moving along because, hey, we have another one that we're going to do after this here. He tries to block his vision, but he says that won't work. There's a transparent membrane, he says, over my eye holes, rigged to vaporize anything it touches. And then he says, you won't believe what my new tail can do. And as he tries to smash him here, and he's like, oh my god, he is so much faster than this here. And Spider-Man is like, I can't believe I'm the one now for other photographers here. And he picks this up. He's going to slam it down. Scorpion here, but he kind of avoids it here. And so he runs away. He's like, I wasn't ready. I wasn't planning for Spider-Man here. And so he goes through and he grabs him here, and you can see he tosses him into the wall here, and which brings it down here. And you can see when McFarlane is trying to just rush something, you can see that there's like no true detail on this. And so this is gonna follow the general, but he goes through and grabs him. He says, come on, general, we got places to be. So he's holding it, and there's this other guy. This is the other reporter here, that Nick. And he's like, man, we'll sell extra thousands of the extra. Jameson will be ecstatic. So here's Jameson, and he's like, I'm actually hating my most enemy, making him money. So he screams out, no. And so he goes, I've changed my mind. I'm not going to kidnap the general. I'm going to kill him. And the only way to stop me is to trade Jonah Jameson so I can kill him instead. One man for another. One man or another 60 minutes from now, someone dies. You can see this here as Spider-Man is holding this. Next issue, the hammer strikes back. So we're going to go right to that issue here. But we're just going to look at this splash page one more time. Now remember that the Chameleon is J. Jonah Jameson. So is he going to show up? Well, so issue 319, another great cover here. Now you're going to see here, X-Men and Spider-Man started selling twice during the summer. And you're going to see not quite so much in this issue, but in the next couple issues here, there is a hurry to McFarlane's art. And in fact, one of the issues is going to have to be done fill-in wise by by Eric Larson. Prior to McFarlane leaving to do the solo title that Eric Larson has to do, because McFarlane it became too much of a grind. So it's hard for someone who is so meticulous to then have to, it's one thing to be able to do a one title in 1 month, but when you have to do two, it becomes a little bit hard. So here we have a couple of, this is Backlash, so he's an Iron Man enemy, and of course we have the Rhino, who is a Spider-Man enemy here. And so here you go, Spider-Man versus the Rhino, Backlash, and the Scorpion. So another great cover here. And so here, I love this this credits here, how it's done here. My goodness gracious. So Spider-Man is delivering some pizza for the Scorpion here. So look at the web here. It's just freaking believable. This is all in Brooklyn at the National Guard Armory. It lets us know here. So beautiful. Beautifully done. And so he brings him in, and he gives him the pizza, but it's got anchovies, and Spider-Man's like, you take your shots where you can. And so they ask the Colonel here, and look at the Colonel. He's like so ancient here. Um, and he's like, we told him, but they don't he gives, well, first of all, they give a little context of what happened in the previous issue here, great vertical panel, but Jonah refuses to show up like this, and Spider-Man's like, Jonah's just not a coward. But of course it says here, see Web of Spider-Man 50 for details, and that is because Jonah Jameson is the Scorpion here. And so they're saying, is would he extend the problem, and or would he extend the deadline? And of course they're like, hey, we've got a problem. And Scorpion's like, no, you've got a problem, your time is up. And so he shoots here, and he's like, we're getting out of here. And Musgrave's like, you said you were gonna kill me. So he's like, ha, I lied. So he goes in there, and he's like, get us out of here if you want to live. So off he goes in the copter. Spider-Man grabs a web line, and boom, off he goes as well. Scorpion sees it and uses his tail to uh, cut the web, and so he's now going to have to get another web line here. And one of the things he does is he gets the tracker on him. I love this here. And they swing him, and he's gonna go toward the blades here, which cut the webs, and he is gonna end up falling into the water. So he of course gets in position to land on the water, and he goes, boy, that hurt. And so off he goes now, having to swim to New York. All right, so now Justin Hammer is taking a bath here. Here comes his assistant, and he's like, I can't believe the Scorpion betrayed me like this. We had a deal, and so now he's going to have to find someone to take care of this. So he presses another button and gets all these other villains, and of course you see Rhino and Backlash here, a couple of other ones, and so he's gonna get somebody, but we already saw on the cover who. But this is a nice splash page here, and another great Spider-Man pose here. McFarlane just, it was so amazing to see these every freaking month. It was just so. Here he comes, says hi to his Aunt May, and he's like, oh my gosh, I am bruised all over. And so Mary Jane is going dancing again. Beautiful panel here, nice vertical here. McFarlane really, and his assistant or the makeup person comes through, and she's like, I need to talk to you about work. And he's like, oh, this, he lost another client, had changed his mind, he'll get another job tomorrow. And she says, no, Mary Jane, you won't get another job ever. And Mary Jane is just like, what? And so we'll see what's happening here. So now we go again with Harry Osborn here, and sees the Goblin Mask. Liz sees the Goblin Mask. I think these two end up getting divorced here, and he's introducing her to the new house, and she goes. So they talk about something that happened in Spectacular Spider-Man 46. That is not something I have covered here, and so McFarlane kind of just getting things along. This is what I mean. You see McFarlane just kind of moving on because he's got another issue to come out later that month. So as I mentioned before, I do not remember anything to do with the Green Goblin, at least in Amazing Spider-Man. So for some reason, I think Michelinie planned on doing something, which is why he's introducing this here, but nothing that I can remember came of it. And so, uh, nice silhouette here. And Mary Jane's like, Peter, you look beat. And he thinks beaten more like it. And he's like, how'd your shoot go? And he says, it didn't, but now I know why. And he says, Jonathan Caesar, if you remember, that's the one that tried to possess Mary Jane. Not possess as in a demon, like kidnapped her. Um, and he's the one trying to keep him out of work. And look at this, like he's holding her. He's trying to hold her gentle, but it does look at these big hands. And so she's saying that he is just trying to destroy her career. And Peter's like, do you want me to do something? He's like, no, Peter, I have to fight this battle myself. Just be on my side. That'll be enough. Now that does continue through the Eric Larson run. So it ties up the guy here, and Scorpion's complaining because he's like, things aren't going quite as planned. And so he's got the general, and he's like, maybe the Kingpin will buy him. And Spider-Man then the next day here, another beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pose here. Here, let's see if I can make this one nice and small so we can see it. Well, it's missing a little finger here, but that's okay. Wow, that is just, that is so cool. So cool, people. So Spider-Man is swinging around here, and he's complaining because he's missing a lot of school. He's trying to get his master's. I believe he ends up with a doctorate during Dan Slott's run when Dr. Octopus possessed him. And so he's saying about the classes and all that kind of stuff, and then how he's got to look for Scorpion with that tracker. And he's like, apparently he's in Queens. And so he, because of the tracker, he's got, he knows he's in this truck. And the Scorpion's lost. He's like, I've got to read a map. This is in the days before GPS here. So the general says, why don't you go ask a policeman? So Spider-Man webs the truck here and makes him have an accident. Spider-Man breaks out the general, and so he's gonna go deal with the Scorpion, but they feel kind of like a tremor here, and here comes the Rhino. Now again, McFarlane's in a hurry. There is detail, but not as much as you would see him put up here. So, and then here comes Blacklash. I always thought it was Backlash. Blacklash. And this is awesome here with his cape. McFarlane is the best at capes. And so those two fight. Spider-Man grabs the general, and they're here to actually deal with the Scorpion here. But oh, and they also want Musgrave. They want to finish the job. Spider-Man's like, I got him nice and safe. And so you can see here that Blacklash is going to deal with it. So he's able to give the whip electricity and makes it like oh my gosh, one of those vault sticks or anything. And the general sees that Spider-Man's trying to lead them away, and he goes, man, if only I had a rifle. So he's like we have Rhino versus Scorpion here, and he uses tear gas, and Rhino's like, I won't even cry at your funeral, chump. And he's like, man, I better I better get out of here. So, Backlash dealing with Spider-Man and Rhino versus Scorpion here, and here you can see that Backlash catches him here on the leg here and stings him, and he's like, "Uh-oh, muscles locking up," and let me make sure there was nothing missing. All right, and so um, he's up here, and Scorpion's like, "Let's see if you get me," and he's like, "Okay," and so he runs through the thing, which makes this crash down. And you can see Spider-Man also goes down here, and the ball kind of almost falls into it. So he's like, "Hey, we gotta go." And so they grab the Scorpion's tail, and off they go. And he Spider-Man goes and checks on Musgrave, and he's like, "Hey, I got a friend who's a news photographer. I was wondering if I could get some pictures." And that is the end. So, Amazing Spider-Man 318 and 319 by David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane. Like and subscribe, and I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.